If you ever typed in a price and you wondered, is that too high? Should I put it lower? I'm not even sure what I should be doing here right now. And you just kind of sat there looking at your screen and like, I don't know what to put. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to be covering in this video. And by the end of it, you're going to understand exactly why that happens to healthcare professionals specifically. And I'm going to give you one mental shift that makes it all stop. Okay, so I'm going to give you an actual reframe that you can use the next time that you're trying to figure this out. And you're going to know what to put before you ever hit that enter button. I'm Jordan Williams, and let's talk about something that most people don't talk about directly because at face value, it doesn't seem like a business problem. Okay, it looks more like a confidence issue, but it's kind of sneakier than that. It's actually a training problem. So I want you to think back now to a time when you had your clinical, right? Go back to your first clinical training or your first time you started at this new place, right? And you're there, right? You learned to swallow your exhaustion, right? You had to put on a brave face, even when you might not have eaten for half your shift. You always learn to put other people first so that the patient wouldn't feel so bad, right? Because you were like, hey, what if that was a family member or like somebody that I cared about? So you just did the work according to that. And it always felt like a weakness asking for help rather than just being truthful because you saw that everybody else at work was doing the same thing. That's just the culture in healthcare, right? And you learn to be the last person whose needs actually mattered, right, guys? So that training saved lives on the floor. I'm not knocking it because it's super important. But what's happening is it's quietly wrecking your ability to build something at a big business on your own. And here's what that looks like in your real life, because I want to tell you a quick story because I lived this one for myself and it wasn't even clinical work. It just happened in this exact business. When I first started building this business online, I quickly realized that I needed a back-end service. So I signed up for Keep. It's a CRM if you guys haven't heard about it. And what I did was I had to learn all the automations, how to build funnels, the entire system. And I'd never done this before, and let alone I've never actually sold anything as a service in this domain, right? So I'd done all the trainings. I learned it all for myself. I knew how to build out everything. So I was just like, now I got to price it and I got to sell it. And I haven't figured that part out yet. So I did what a lot of us do when we're new, right? And I told myself, look, I'll just give it away for free. The first few people get some experience, get some testimonials in the bag, and the paying clients are going to start coming in afterwards, right? So a friend of mine who owns a clinic said yes, she'd sign up. So I said, okay, great. I went all in. I built out all the automations, the email sequences, the reactivation sequences, testimonial requests, Google review requests, landing pages, all of it, guys. I did it all. And it took me somewhere, I'd say around 18 hours of my actual time to do this. And the whole time, I was paying for my own subscription out of my own pocket, a service that's worth at least $300, and I was building it for them for completely free. And at $300 a month, I'm saying, okay? So they signed on, and then basically nothing happened. They stayed on for a few months. They barely touched it. I was the one reaching out to them. It wasn't them reaching out to me. I had to do all the check-ins, and, it finally hit me what was happening. And it was because it was free. Right? And I get it. They're running a clinic. They're busy. They got clients. They got employees. I get it. But it costs me a lot. And I realized that because it was free and they haven't paid a cent for it, there was no urgency for them. So there's no real reason for them to go ahead and be like, I got to log in and then I got to use this thing. It was a favor for them. It was a favor for me, right? We kind of synergetically were helping each other out. But it cost me way more than that because that's exactly what free feels like. Right? To the person who's receiving it, it's like, whatever. I don't really care about this. And that's the part almost nobody warns you about. When you give your work away for free, it doesn't just cost you the upfront money and that you didn't charge and the time that you put in. It costs you the actual thing that you were hoping to get out of it, right? A real relationship with a potential client, real usage of your product or your service, real testimonials. None of that happened. And the only reason that didn't happen is because people don't value things that they don't pay for. Right? If they don't pay for anything, they don't care about it. And it's not about being humble, right? We think we're being humble, trying to help people out, and we can get some, that win-win situation. But this is really a habit. And I want you to notice something important because it lives in the back of your mind and it doesn't show up as I'm not good enough, right? It's not really what it is, even though sometimes it feels like, we think that's what it is. It's even sneakier than that. It shows up kind of like as who am I to charge for this, right? It shows up as apologizing before you even name your price. Someone asks you, for example, how much is your product or how much is your service? And you say, well, I'm sorry, I know it's a bit expensive, but $1,500. But you know what? Never mind. I can just do it for $500. That's what it looks like, guys. It shows up as staying quiet about your skills that you already have, because some part of you already decided that the expertise needs a certain certificate on your wall or a degree before it actually matters or it counts. Right? That's what we think of as healthcare professionals. So here's the reframe. I actually want you to hold on to this one, okay? Your clinical experience is not a small kind of expertise that you have. It's a much harder earned skill than you think that it is, and it's super useful in your business, and you've already been tested under real pressure that most people never even come close to experiencing in their lives, okay? Because you had to deliver bad news to real people and hold steady while you were doing it. You've had to make decisions in seconds that mattered so enormously to someone's life, okay? And that kind of presence and that kind of dedication, it makes someone trust you enough to be led by you, right? And to be served by you. You just haven't been taught to see that it's a currency and you can use it in your business. I'm going to be real direct with you here, okay? Because undervaluing yourself is not a personality trait. It's not just who you are. It's a habit that you've learned because the system needed you to not ask for more. Not ask for more pay, not ask for more support, not ask for more recognition. You're allowed to unlearn that here, okay? And this is your business. And in business, it's on your terms. And here's what I want you to do before you move on to the next lesson. I want you to think about one specific time you gave away a real valuable skilled work that you have for free. And just like I did in those 18 hours building that automation that I told you about, and think about it when like you were hoping it would turn into something and it didn't get the value that you expected, right? Especially if there'd been like the price attached to it. I just want you to notice it. Don't judge yourself for it. Just bring the pattern to your forefront. I just want you to keep it in your mind, because once you can see it, next time you'll be ready and you can catch it when it shows up, okay? So in the next lesson, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making this real and specific. We're going to figure out exactly who it is that you help, okay? We're going to be using an exercise that turns your fuzzy feelings into a sharp, usable avatar, because once your belief is in the right place, the very next thing that you need to happen is become super clear on exactly who it is that you help. So let's go ahead and let's build that together, okay?